What's up, y'all? We're coming in today with a little bit of a roster preview and season predictions video today. So I'm going to keep it pretty quick, but I'm going to talk about some of the glaring weaknesses of our team, some things I think are going to carry us this year, the bright spots of our roster, and just some overall, maybe some bold predictions about the season as a whole for our players, maybe some stat lines, and then I'm going to go through our schedule and predict our wins and losses and tell you what I think our record will be. So let's get started right away. We're going to start with defense because I think there's lots of strengths and weaknesses here on the defense. This could be a very interesting unit this year. So I think one thing that I wish we addressed further this year was definitely I wish that we addressed our interior D line better. I think there's some strengths there for sure. I mean, the addition of Draymond Jones, that's huge. I think that a young guy like Cameron Young to develop there, Jaron Reed coming back, that's fun. But the things that scare me are the things that I think are unknown quantities. There's too much that we rely on. So Jaron Reed has played interior D line before, and he's a big body and he's a really good player. But I think him as our starting nose and really our only nose will be interesting to see how that comes along. I think he's going to be solid, but I think relying so heavily on him and a rookie day three pick, Cameron Young, who I think is going to be a good run stopping defensive lineman. I just think that's a lot to ask of these guys. But they do have some support around them. Mario Edwards, he'll be an okay rotational piece. I think he's okay, just nothing special. He's solid. I think he'll play okay against the run. He'll do something in the pass rush game. I mean, he'll be a factor they have to think about, but I don't think he'll be lighting up the stat sheet like that or anything like that at all. Mike Morris, interesting day three pick. I'm curious to see what he'll look like with a more extended play against higher quality opponents. But really, we just don't know that yet. So hopefully he can get out there and make an impact for us for sure. But the main things I want to know about our squad really comes down to our DBs. Our secondary is going to be really interesting to watch this year. Really interesting. I think that so I have the depth chart here roughly laid out how I think things will play out throughout the season. So on paper, yeah, it says Trey Brown, Michael Jackson, and Devon Witherspoon is third on here, and he's also last in the nickel. That is only because he's injured right now. I didn't do the same with Jamal Adams because Jamal Adams is a declared. We know he's going to start immediately the moment he steps on the field. Versus Devon Witherspoon is still in competition, so I just want to see that play out, and I want him to be kind of a more obvious starter. I think he'll start somewhere. I just want to know a spot more. Versus I know Jamal will come in and he'll start at safety for us once he comes back, and we'll find something else to do with Julian Love at that point, whether that's him long term starting at nickel. There's so many variables, and that's kind of what's so exciting about our secondary this year. So Trey Brown, I do think will start at left corner. It seemed like he beat out Michael Jackson for that spot just for the first game or two, or however long Devon Witherspoon needs to get healthy. If we're going to keep Witherspoon out wide at corner, like outside corner, or if we're going to move him into nickel, that would be an interesting thing and keep Trey Brown outside. I think it just depends on what we really want, what balance we want. Whether we want Julian Love on the field in some way, like at nickel, and then keeping Jamal and Quandre, and that's our priority is keeping all three of our safeties that are really good and having Julian Love play like a quasi nickel safety type role and keeping those three guys on the field at all time. Or if they like the potential of a Trey Brown and don't mind having Julian Love being more of a rotational guy and keeping Devon Witherspoon in the nickel there and thinking that's a weapon. So I think it'll be super interesting to see what happens there. So those are my first key points there. At edge, I really like our young guys there. We have some strong youth who all have really good potential to improve this season. And Uchenna Nwosu is a just solid, good, young but veteran type player. He's been in the league a few years and he's a good player, and we know he's going to have really solid production of both against the run and the pass. So I'm really excited to watch him play this year again. Hopefully, he can repeat his last season with us. I feel similarly for Daryl Taylor and Boye Mafe, but in a different way. So, and Uchenna Nwosu is kind of this whole picture versus last year. Daryl Taylor, he had a really productive sack season. He had 9.5 sacks just like Uchenna Nwosu. And I think Boye Mafe, while he was nowhere near as productive as a pass rusher, he did do pretty solid holding up against the run, which I think he was much better than Daryl Taylor at against the run, which is why he got those more reps towards the end of the year. So I'm hoping to see either one of those guys. I think there's more upside for Boye to develop as a pass rusher than there is for Darrell Taylor to develop as a run stopper, if that makes sense. So I really want to see them duke it out and see who's going to really have the edge across the course of this season and who's going to end up getting the most reps out there and start on the other side at edge. I think Derek Hall is going to be a fun project to see how he fits into the rotation as well as a physical guy who has to develop some of his pass rushing skills a little more. But I think out the box will be kind of like Boyle was last year, where he's more solid against the run, but has some flashes in the pass rush game, but needs to really develop his package there. Tyreek Smith on the other side, just a guy who needs to develop a little bit. He's a good depth piece. Linebackers, stoked to have Bobby back. Jordan back healthy is huge. And then we just got depth there. Devin Bush, John Radigan, and Drake Thomas, our waiver claim. I think those would be interesting guys to watch. I think they'll mostly contribute on special teams, but they'll definitely get some rotation in at backer. Whether that's through just giving Bobby and Jordan, some reps off, like a drive or two every game maybe, or situational, or if it's just special teams. But I think they'll be great. Our safeties are amazing. So I think our defense is interesting. The lows and the things that concern me are a little bit in the trenches and that interior D line at both nose and end. I wish we had a little more depth there or just superstar power in general. So that's an interesting thing. But I really like our secondary, and I think that's going to be an elite thing for us this year. So our offense is where the fireworks come, honestly. I think we have done a really solid job of building an offense that we can compete with. So down here, I really like our receivers. We have a great receiving core. Jake Bobo making the roster is amazing to see. Super fun. He blew up the preseason and is just a very consistent, reliable target. So I want to see more of him this year as perhaps wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, maybe. I think him and Derek Young are going to be battling, and Jake Bobo showed more promise this preseason. So we'll have to see what happens there. But overall, I think that'll be great. Tight ends, good unit. The thing that kind of like on the defensive side where I really want to see that interior D-line step up and make strides, I want to see the interior O-line be better than it was last year. I think Damian Lewis is pretty good last year, and I'd like to see him take even another step forward or just at least play at a consistent level. Evan Brown from the Lions, interesting. I want to see him come in and be a consistent, steady anchor in the middle, unlike we had last year where we had just a revolving door at center. And I don't mean as far as rotations of multiple people. I mean just our center was bad. Our right guard, Phil Haynes, interesting to see what he can do, getting a full opportunity to entirely start now that Gabe Jackson's gone. So I think that if he steps up, that'd be cool. If not, between Evan Brown and Phil Haynes, we also got young guys behind him that will be competing this whole time. So we'll see what happens there. At tackle, I want Charles Cross and Phil Haynes to both, or not Phil Haynes, Abe Lucas to take a big step forward. That'll be huge for our offense if they can really shore up the anchors at tackle and even take another step forward from being solid starting tackles to being like top end or just upper tier tackles. That would be huge for our team. Our wide receiver, JSN, I want to see what he can do this year. Hopefully he gets back from his injury really fast so we can see him on the field week 1 or 2. But beyond that, I mean, our backfield, really good depth there. I think that'll be a perfect combination of guys in the backfield. We got Kenneth Walker, who's more explosive, but also has power, of course, but he's a very versatile guy. Other than he's not great at catching the football. That's not his game as a pass catcher. But Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh and DJ Dallas have all had quite a bit of experience catching the footballs out of the backfield. Zach Charbonnet is also a better pass protector than Kenneth Walker, and DJ Dallas is a good pass protector, and Kenny McIntosh, I think, is also pretty solid. So they all have the opportunity to take a lot of third down reps from Kenneth, and Zach Charbonnet is a little bigger than Kenneth, so he might get some early down reps as well. But I think it'll be a nice flow where we can really keep guys fresh and just be productive. Now, it's unfortunate for Kenneth Walker fantasy users and those of us who just like stats in general to see those 1,000-yard seasons and such. I don't think he'll have 1,000 yards this year just because of how deep our rotation is. But I do think it'll be a ton of fun to watch our backfield, just all 4 of our guys. But I'm most excited to see our young 3 running backs, Kenneth, Zach, and Kenny McIntosh. And I think DJ Dallas will be a good depth piece and change of pace back. But I mostly want to see those 3 guys really develop some chemistry and a rotation there where we can keep fresh, explosive players on the field. And at quarterback, Geno Smith, I want to see him repeat last year. So that's my goal. Let's make it happen, man. Just repeat last year and see if you can even take another step forward. Just be consistent, take care of the ball, high completion percentage, high touchdowns, low interceptions. take another stride and see if he can really repeat. Now I'm gonna go through our my predictions for our season this year, man. We got all the games here, and as you can see, my predictions here. I'm gonna briefly explain what I think. So I think we open up strong against the Rams, where we are out a couple of guys or people will be returning from injury in general, and so I think that'll be not necessarily a cleanest game. I think it'll be closer than we want it to be. Like I don't think we're gonna blow them out like we probably should, honestly. But I think we'll scrap together a win and it'll be, win to win at the end of the day type of game. But I think the Lions will come in and they're just such a scrappy, consistent, really strong team. I think they'll beat us week 2, mostly because I don't know about Devon Witherspoon. I don't know about Jamal Adams. And then Jordan Brooks will be fresh off his injury, still coming in and playing. He's practicing, and I think he'll be good to go. But I think he'll still be working into the flow of things. I think our D-line will be working on gelling. I think there's too many factors. I think we'll start off a little muggy the first 2 games where we're trying to get our groove together. And that's what I worry about. And so I think the Lions take us there. But I think we rebound strong against the Panthers and Giants. Both teams I think we're capable of beating. The Giants are a strong competitive team. But I think the Panthers are too young at this point. I think we'll be able to beat them, and we should beat them. So it'll be 2-1. And the Giants, I think week 4, we're starting to figure it out. And I think we put together a good game and just outplay the Giants and win. I think it'll be a pretty close game, but I think we beat them. Bengals, that's a huge team, a really good Super Bowl contending team. I think they hand us another L here. Going into our game against the Cardinals, we'll be looking like we're 3-2, but then we hit a hot streak here. Knock out the Cardinals. We should smash them. I don't know. It's a division rival, so you never know. It can be more competitive than it should be, but we should beat them, and we should beat them confidently. The Browns, they have a really good roster, and if Deshaun Watson plays like he could, then they got a shot to absolutely be great this year. I want to see us step up, elevate, and show that we belong in this upper tier kind of playoff team rather than just a team scrapping, desperately trying to get in. So I want to see us take that step this year, beat the Browns. Ravens, another really strong team. I think the Browns and Ravens actually are pretty similar talent-wise overall, and the main variable is for the Ravens, Lamar staying healthy and playing to his potential like we know he can. And for the Browns, it's not about health. It's just can Deshaun Watson retrieve what he once had? And if they both can accomplish those things, they're going to be really tough teams. But I see us beating them this year. Then we go into the Commanders and the Rams, continue our hot streak, and we are looking really good heading into our game against the Niners. But I do think the Niners are going to be just a different animal. I really think they have a strong, strong, strong roster this year. I actually have them sweeping us, but I could easily see us flipping one of those games, but that's just how I see it happening as of right now. The Niners have looked insanely strong, and their strengths line up well against our weaknesses. I think our interior D-line is not super good. Our D-line as a whole, like our front 7 is okay, but their O-line is really, really good, and they got a great running and passing offense. I think that'll be tough for us to contain. And on the flip side, their D-line is insane. Their defense is crazy. And our O-line is both young and we have some question marks in the interior that we need to see improved before I can say I'm confident we can beat a team like that. But that's just my thoughts so far. Against the Cowboys, I have us scrapping together a win. I think the Cowboys are a really, really good team. But I think that's, we're in the point of the season between the Niners games, the 2 games. We have to find a way to win that game to show that we're a good premier level team in the true fight for the playoffs. And so I see us scrapping together and getting a victory there. Play the 49ers, lose. Eagles, I do think there'll be just too much. That is a brutal stretch of the season. I think we'll be worn down a little bit by that game, and they'll take us out. But I see us flipping it around for the playoff push and taking these last 3 games and just going into the playoffs full momentum. Now here's my thoughts. This puts us here at 12 wins. 12-5. I think that is a really, 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 really good season. I could see us being 9-8, and I could see us being 13-4. I mean, there are huge, huge ways for what our team could be. I do think we'll fall somewhere in the 10-12 range, a little closer, maybe 10 or 11. But if we don't win the games, like I say, we have to prove that we can be that next level team. If we stay at a similar level to last year, I think we'll win the same amount of games. I think our schedule is a little different, obviously, but we have the potential to really go out there and show that we can be a great team. So I hope we do it. Now I want you guys to let me know. What do you think our record's going to be this year. What games do you think are like trap games? What games do you think we can cause an upset maybe to a team like the Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, kind of like I have on here? What do you think happens? Do we make the playoffs? I hope you think so, because I think so. And from there, really just any other questions or thoughts you have on this. I really like our team. I think it's young, scrappy, and I really want to see us take the next step forward. And I'm stoked to get this season started. I want to get this video out to you guys. So thank you.